Manifest divine miracles and confirmed deliverance. Heal your 7 chakras in just 40 days. Mary Williams felt something stir within her soul, a flicker of hope igniting as the sun dipped below the hills, casting a golden glow over the quaint village that cradled her spirit. Little did she know, a revelation was waiting just around the corner. One evening, as she knelt on the cool stone floor of her humble sanctuary, clutching a worn Bible, she was enveloped in a radiant light that filled the room with an inexplicable warmth. This light whispered secrets of divine healing and cosmic energy that could mend her shattered heart and restore her son David's frail body. "Dear Lord, guide me, heal my son," she breathed, tears streaming down her face as visions of vibrant colors danced before her eyes, each hue corresponding to a chakra, a promise of miracles if she dared to embark on a 40-day spiritual odyssey. With each vivid image, she felt the weight of her despair lifting, replaced by an exhilarating surge of faith, as if God Himself had wrapped her in a comforting embrace. In the days that followed, Mary became an orchestrator of hope, inviting neighbors to the chapel, her voice ringing with the determination of a mother on a divine mission. "Join me. Let us heal together through prayer and reflection," she urged, her heart racing with fervor. Old hymns echoed through the air, mingling with laughter and whispered prayers as they gathered around lunch tables beneath the boughs of ancient oaks. However, whispers of skepticism began to snake through the village, wrapping around her like thorny vines. "What is she thinking?" some murmured, eyes gleaming with doubt. "A healing? From prayer and whims." They wondered if Mary's journey was born of delusion rather than faith, igniting fiery debates that rippled through their close-knit community. Yet, upon her steadfast shoulders rested the hopes of a mother defying the gloom. Each midday prayer circle brought forth miraculous moments. A woman's back, once twisted with pain, now standing tall. An elderly man, once resigned to silence, belting out hymns stronger than before. A tangible energy sparked in the air, making hearts race and spirits sigh with joy. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Yet, just as the light shone brightly, shadows began to loom larger. On the eve of the pivotal prayer gathering, despair threatened to swallow Mary whole. She knelt alone in the chapel, wrestling with her thoughts, clinging to the whispers of angels. Would David feel the healing? Would their faith lead to miracles, or just division among the very souls they cared for? As doubt clawed at her heart, the flickering candles cast soft shadows, illuminating the joints of her trembling hands. It was then, in the stillness of faith, that she felt a change. A surge of warmth traveled through her bones. David, nestled in bed, began to stir, a glow appearing against his pale cheeks, a twinkle in his eyes that hadn't been seen in far too long. Her breath hitched, hope and dread twirling in an uncomfortable dance. The dawning light of possibility illuminated her heart. What truly awaited them? Would the miracles continue to unfold, or would they grapple with unanswered questions that lingered, akin to clouds in the sky? Mary yearned for divine clarity amidst the upheaval that surrounded her. And as the night deepened, so did her quest, poised on the brink of revelation. The morning of the prayer gathering arrived, painted in hues of dawn that washed over the quiet village. As Mary stepped outside, the air felt different, charged with an electric anticipation. Flowers swayed gently in the breeze, as if nature herself was in tune with her mission. She took a deep breath, summoning the strength that had carried her this far. Gathering her courage, Mary made her way to the chapel, the echo of her footsteps falling softly against the weathered stones. The heavy wooden doors stood firmly shut, yet she felt an unseen force urging her to push through. Inside, the chapel was adorned with flickering candles and vibrant banners, each one a testament to the faith that lived within these walls. As the villagers began to arrive, whispers filled the air. Some came with the spirit of unity, eager for healing and hope. Others wore cloaks of skepticism, their eyes narrow with doubt. Yet Mary remained focused, her heart tethered to a divine promise. She saw familiar faces, the lively widow, the grieving mother, and the man with a kind smile. They all felt the weight of their struggles, just as she did. "Let us gather in prayer," Mary called out, her voice ringing clear and strong. Words flowed from her as she led the group, each phrase an offering of light. She spoke of healing, of love transcending pain, and of miracles unfolding in everyday moments. With every prayer uttered, she felt a wave of peace wash over the congregation, their spirits lifting as if united by invisible threads of faith. Then, she turned her thoughts toward her son. "Lord, I lift David to you," she pleaded, her heart breaking for him again. "Restore his strength, surround him with your love." The room hushed, the weight of her mother's plea hanging like a sacred banner, drawing every spirit into an earnest embrace of hope. Suddenly, the candles flickered violently, and an unusual stillness fell across the chapel. Eyes darted around the room, some gasping softly. Mary felt it too, a presence, palpable and warm, enveloping them all. It was as if the very air vibrated with divine energy. A gentle, melodic voice echoed within her, whispering secrets of wholeness. "Claim your faith, release your fears." The words vibrated deep within her soul, igniting an inner sanctum where light swept away every doubt. As she opened her eyes, Mary saw the expressions of those around her transform. Smiles were born where frowns had lingered. Tears flowed freely as people were touched by something way beyond their understanding. In that moment, she knew God was moving among them. A woman with a beaming face rose excitedly, dashing forward. "I can stand. I can walk." The room erupted in joyous shouts, the power of healed spirits illuminating the chapel like the brightest dawn. But amid the jubilation, a gnawing worry wormed its way into Mary's heart. Would this wave of miracles extend to her son as well? She prayed fervently, her hands clasped tightly. David's name rolled off her tongue like a sacred mantra. Just then, the chapel doors blasted open, and there stood David, wide-eyed and radiant, supported by the man who had once been bedridden. "Mom, I could feel it. I could feel the healing," he exclaimed, light radiating off his skin as if he bore the sun's glow. Gasps filled the air again, accompanied by a rush of tears and laughter. As she rushed to embrace him, Mary wondered, what other miracles awaited them beyond this tender reunion? The day continued with profound discoveries, each moment more electrifying than the last, yet a whisper begged for understanding. Could these miracles be just the beginning, or was there more divinity charting their path ahead? The broader mystery lingered, waiting to unfold, urging them onward into a sacred journey of faith and purpose. What awaited them as they forged deeper into their spiritual odyssey? The chapel buzzed with a holy energy, filled with believers awash in renewed hope. Hugs and laughter intertwined, forming a tapestry of joy that blanketed the gathering. Mary held David close, the warmth of his body a reminder of the miracle before her. Yet, her heart danced between exultation and wonder. How could one encounter hold such profound transformations? "Look around, Mary," David said, breaking through her reverie. "Look at them. They feel it too." His excitement was infectious. Eyes sparkled with newfound light. As Mary glanced around, she noticed the villagers, each radiant with stories of their own. The man with the kind smile was now praying with fervor, arms raised to the heavens. The grieving mother, whose heart had been heavy now, sang words of praise, her voice soaring as if on wings. "I am so grateful," Mary whispered, feeling a swell of gratitude pulse through her. In this moment, it was clear that the gathering was about far more than her own struggles. United, They were a family of souls blessed by unquenchable love. As she looked up toward the flickering candles, their soft illumination brought a sense of holy vibration, like tiny flickers of grace dancing in the air. She could feel the warmth from each flame, whispering promises of more miracles yet to come. Suddenly, a stillness settled over the chapel, capturing everyone's attention like a gentle breeze. A tall figure approached the altar, an elderly woman known for her wisdom, but who had been shrouded in doubt for too long. Her voice trembled as she began to speak, yet each word carried the quiet authority of years lived in faith. "Dear friends, I have been waiting for this moment," she began, "to share my burden and seek the light of your prayers." As she revealed her own heartache, a hush enveloped the room. Everyone's heartstrings pulled together in a collective ache, echoing the struggles of their own lives. Mary's heart was heavy. She recognized the pain all too well. "We will pray for you," she said gently, her voice layered with conviction. "We lift each other in our brokenness and rejoice in our breakthroughs, together." A wave of agreement surged through the chapel, resonating with the power of shared community. The prayers floated, an ethereal melody calling out from their united hearts. The elderly woman's spirit seemed to brighten, her appearance transforming amidst the pain as faith swirled around her. As the minutes passed, miracle after miracle unfolded. One by one, people stepped forward to share their testimonies of healing and redemption. They spoke of burdens lifted, love rekindled, and faith restored. Each story became a thread weaving the community closer together, strengthening a bond that no amount of suffering could break. Mary marveled at the divine orchestration playing out before her. It felt as if God was at work, orchestrating a symphony of hope that expanded far beyond the walls of the chapel. Yet, even with the miracles around her, she felt a persistent yearning in her heart, a thirst for deeper understanding. What other facets of God's character remained hidden, waiting to be unveiled? The thought gnawed at her as the crowd cheered and embraced one another, each victory celebrated with divine joy. Just when Mary thought they had reached the peak of miracles, a sudden hush fell over the congregation. The atmosphere shifted, vibrating with eager anticipation. She could see the flicker of light emanating from the corner of the chapel. It pulsed, brightening and dimming in an undulating rhythm, beckoning their attention. "Do you feel that?" David whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "What is it, Lord?" Mary silently pleaded, her spirit awakened to the unfolding mystery. With hearts pounding in sync with the mysterious light, they could sense the divine presence thickening in the air, whispering promises of more than they could ever imagine. What awaited them beyond that shimmering glow? What deeper revelations were ready to pour from the heavens, ready to transform them once again? And what divine mysteries were waiting to be unlocked in the stillness of their faith? The chapel continued to hum with a balmy energy as the shimmering light drew closer, illuminating the air with a celestial hue. Mary could hardly contain her breath. It felt as though time stood still. Bodies around her leaned toward the glow, eyes wide, and mouths agape, lost in wonder. "Can you feel it?" David murmured, gripping Mary's hand tighter. The warmth radiating from the light pulsed, a gentle heartbeat that merged with the rhythm of their prayers. Just then, the elderly woman at the altar raised her trembling hands, her face glowing like the morning sun. "My dear friends," she said again, stronger this time, "we have come together in this sacred moment, not just to share our burdens, but to witness the unfathomable goodness of our Lord." The congregation shifted. Murmurs of amen echoed like rolling thunder, wrapping them in collective faith. The light pulsed once more, and Mary felt it brush against her skin, a divine caress that ignited hope in her heart. Suddenly, the flickering light surged forward, enveloping the altar entirely. It spiraled like a whirlwind of grace, and within that sacred dance, whispered voices began to emerge, like notes from a divine symphony. "Fear not." The voices resonated softly, yet powerfully, "for I am with you." Caught in the moment, tears sprang to Mary's eyes. Those simple, profound words wrapped around her like a warm blanket. She realized then that this experience transcended individual struggles. It was about everyone connected here and the shared yearning for healing and understanding. As the light shimmered, it revealed fleeting images, memories, and dreams that tugged at her heart. Faces from her past flickered amidst the richness of color, the kind smile of a teacher long gone, the laughter of her little brother, whose playful spirit had left this world too quickly. Each image stirred something deep within her, unraveling threads of forgiveness and hope she had tucked away for so long. "Mary, look." David's whisper shook her from her trance, pulling her gaze back to the altar. The elderly woman was glowing, truly glowing, surrounded by an aura of compassion and love. "Share what you feel, dear sister." She beckoned, her eyes sparkling like stars. In that moment, Mary's heart opened wider. I want to become the light for others," she exclaimed, voice trembling. "I want to reflect this healing we've found here. To show others that they, too, are loved and never alone." The room erupted in applause, hands clapping in rhythm with their hearts. The light swelled, circling as if to embrace the entire gathering. Each heartbeat pulsed with divine love, and villagers stood side by side, hearts intertwined in a holy union of promise. Then, just as their excitement reached its crescendo, the pulsing light resettled into a profound stillness enveloping the altar. It beckoned them to remain, to breathe, and to listen. The whispers grew softer, but the presence remained steadfast, stirring a new layer of reverence and awe. What message lay within this silence? Was it an invitation to deeper understanding, or a call to action in faith? Mary's eyes flickered from the stillness of the altar to the faces of her companions, all eager and yearning. As the congregation stood, united by anticipation, the air thick with possibility, Mary felt a soft nudge in her heart. What new depths of faith are yet to be revealed? She pondered silently, wondering what divine instructions awaited them. Would they be brave enough to step into this new chapter of discovery? And what miracles still lingered in the shadows, ready to be unveiled by their heart's devotion? The stillness was palpable, a tender hush that blanketed all in the chapel. Mary felt time stretch, as if the very fabric of reality had thinned. The moment swirled with potential, and each heartbeat echoed with a sacred rhythm, urging them to listen and seek. Then the elderly woman, still radiating light, spoke once more. "In this silence, we find the voice of the divine. Sometimes, what we seek is not in the noise of our lives, but in the stillness of our hearts." Her eyes swept across the faces in the congregation, each individual glimmering with a sacred light of their own. "Perhaps," she continued, her voice a soothing balm, "we have built walls that keep us from truly hearing what God has prepared for us. Let us surrender to this moment, open our hearts to His whispers, and trust that clarity will come." Mary closed her eyes, focusing on the warmth enveloping her, feeling the pulse of love surrounding her. There, in the quiet, she sensed something stirring deep within her, longing to unlock the door to a greater purpose. It felt like a gentle tide, rising and making way for something glorious. David squeezed her hand again, grounding her amidst this revelation. "What's happening inside you?" he whispered. "I don't know yet," she replied softly, "but I think I have to let go of fear. I want to be brave enough to listen." A collective sigh broke through the congregation, like a wave cresting and falling. In that breath, Mary found solace and strength, imagining that each soul present was standing on the edge of dawn, ready to witness something extraordinary. "Can we raise our voices together?" the woman suggested. "Sing praises, for in our unity, we draw closer to His heart." Her arms gestured wide, inviting everyone to join. And so they began, a soft hum growing into a chorus of gratitude. Notes danced like shimmering stars as they sang, creating a harmony that wove through every heart, every tear, every joy. Mary felt the barriers of her past slip away, unraveling as they lifted their voices to heaven. A dragonfly released from a chrysalis. The light shimmered brightly around them, pulsating to the rhythm of their worship. A celestial dialogue that transcended words. Mary felt her spirit lift, as if lifted by invisible hands. With every note, she poured out her fears, her burdens, everything unspoken that weighed heavily on her soul. And then, like a sudden flash of clarity, it struck her the realization that they weren't simply praising, they were connecting. Each harmony was a thread, weaving them together, binding their stories into a greater tapestry of resilience and love. "Look," David exclaimed, his eyes wide again. Mary followed his gaze, and what she saw made her heart leap. A shaft of brilliant light poured down from above, illuminating the altar and surrounding the elderly woman with an even more profound radiance. "It's a sign," someone shouted from the back, while others gasped in awe. The warmth intensified, and in that moment, Mary understood. The faith they were cultivating transcended individual wounds. It became a source of light for their community. The elderly woman lowered her arms and beamed at them. "Let us be vessels of this light. Together, we can manifest miracles. Together, we can share the healing we have found." Excitement thrummed in the air. Mary felt her heart beat faster, each pulse echoing an invitation. Will you embrace the call? Will you trust in the divine plan that awaits? As they continued to sing, Mary's spirit soared. She knew they were at the threshold of something transformational. With wonder coursing through her, she thought, what would it take to step through that threshold? Emerging from the stillness, was this the moment the divine longed for them to gather their faithful courage? What visions awaited them just beyond the light? The singing swelled, a divine crescendo that echoed against the stone walls of the chapel. Light filled every corner, and Mary felt each note vibrate through her being, a resonance that was more than sound. It was the very essence of grace washing over them, a sacred embrace that promised peace, healing, and transformation. As the last note lingered in the air, a hush fell again, deeper this time. Mary could see small glimmers in the eyes of those around her. Hope, anticipation, and something deeply spiritual flickered like candle flames. The elderly woman stepped forward, her presence radiating wisdom. "What you feel is not just emotion. It's the touch of the Holy Spirit. In this sacred moment, you've let go of burdens. You've begun a journey, and the Lord delights in those who willingly seek Him." Mary felt her heart swell. Was this the awakening she had sensed? She wondered how many others, like her, were on the brink of their own spiritual transformations. "Close your eyes once more," the woman instructed gently. "Breathe in deeply. Picture the light that surrounds you now as a warm embrace, drawing you nearer to your purpose." Mary followed her words, inhaling the vibrant energy around her. As she exhaled, she imagined her fears leaving her body, like leaves carried away by a swift wind. She breathed in courage, in faith, feeling the very foundations of her spirit shift, like stones rearranging to build a path. The elderly woman's voice broke through the silence again. "Together, we will break through the barriers that bind us. Fear and doubt will fade. Faith and love will triumph." Mary could feel an electric energy building, not just within her, but all around. It was as if every soul present was feeding off this divine exchange, pulsing together in rhythm with the heart of God. "Each of you holds within a unique light," the woman continued, "a light that longs to shine. Imagine what happens when we let it break free." David leaned closer, his face lit up with excitement. "It's happening, Mary. We're part of something bigger than ourselves." With that, the elderly woman encouraged them all to raise their hands, palms open to the heavens. "Let your light shine," she called, her voice rich with divine authority. "Free it. Let it touch the world beyond these walls." Inspired, Mary raised her hands high, feeling the warmth of connection. In that sublime moment, she realized they were not just gathering hopes and dreams. They were channeling a divine energy meant to heal, to restore, and to manifest miracles. Suddenly, there was a ripple, a wave of palpable energy that surged through the crowd. People gasped. Some even cried out in astonishment. Mary felt a burst of empowerment, as though the walls of doubt had truly fallen away, leaving only the clarity of their shared purpose. "Look around you," the woman directed. "What do you see?" Mary's gaze swept over the faces surrounding her, a beautiful array of joy, tears, and newfound courage. It was as if each person was a beacon of hope, shining brightly, each light nourishing the other. But in the midst of this vibrancy, a small voice whispered in Mary's heart, "What next? What will you do with this light?" That question lingered in the air, heavy with potential. Standing on the precipice of realization, Mary knew her journey was just beginning. What would it take to embrace this transformation fully? They had opened the door to the miraculous, but what awaited them beyond it? The congregation buzzed with anticipation. The air charged was it their moment to reveal their truest selves to the world. Their next steps shimmered with divine promise, just waiting to unfold. The atmosphere in the chapel pulsed with anticipation, the heavenly energy still humming in the air like a sweet melody. Mary, still with her arms raised, felt an overwhelming urge to step into the light that had been ignited within her. It felt like an invitation, a call to action. As the elderly woman's voice faded, the murmurs began to rise in volume, each person sharing their excitement and wonder. Some spoke words of gratitude, others prayers of joy. In that moment, it was evident that they had been unified, bound together by a common thread woven with threads of faith. "Mary, I can feel it. We're being called to do something, aren't we?" David whispered, his voice brimming with zeal. His sincerity ignited a fire in her heart, and she nodded, caught in a whirlwind of possibilities. The elderly woman watched them, her knowing smile like a lighthouse guiding them towards their next steps. "Yes, my dear ones," she said gently. "The light you feel is meant to be shared with the world. How will you prepare your hearts to do this?" Mary paused, her spirit stirring. The voice within her grew louder, urging her to rise above her fears and doubts. She could not ignore this challenge. She needed to embrace it. Just then, a thought pierced through the fog of uncertainty. "What if we start right here?" she wondered aloud. "What if we shared our experiences, our stories?" The woman's eyes twinkled, as if she recognized the spark of inspiration igniting within Mary. "Yes, sharing your light is a beautiful beginning. Testify to the grace you've felt. Let the world experience the transformation within you." Encouraged by the woman's words, Mary ventured further. "Let's create a space for each of us. A time to gather, to testify, to pray together. We could bring our stories of healing and hope to those who feel lost." The congregation buzzed in agreement. Heads nodded, voices murmured with enthusiasm. What began as a mere idea quickly spread, each heart feeling the weight of sacred purpose. But then a flicker of doubt crossed her mind. "What if we fail?" she questioned, her brow furrowing. "What if our efforts don't touch those who need it?" Before she could wrestle with that fear, the elderly woman stepped closer, radiating wisdom. "My child, listen. Failure is simply the path to growth. When you tread upon this ground, know that the Holy Spirit will guide your steps. Trust in the journey." With renewed courage, Mary imagined the gatherings taking form, faces filled with pain transformed into smiles of hope. She envisioned conversations that flowed like living water, healing hearts, one word at a time. Each moment they spent together would be sacred, a sanctuary for the weary and wounded. "Let's plan for it," David chimed in, enthusiasm bubbling in his voice. "We can meet every week to share and pray. Let's spread the word to those who haven't felt this light yet." They looked around, excitement and determination sparkling in everyone's eyes. As the idea took root, Mary sensed the energy around them shift again, as if the very walls of the chapel were nodding in approval. Yet, even amidst the zeal, a question lingered in her heart. Would they truly understand? Would they be willing to step into the light? That thought weighed heavily, but Mary realized it was part of her journey, part of their collective journey. They had been summoned to spread hope, the light that shined so brightly among them. The elderly woman's gaze swept over the crowd, her voice rising once more. "You are beloved. You are vessels of grace, Go forth and shine, for the world awaits your light." As they prepared to leave, Mary felt the flickers of fear battling with excitement. She stood on the edge of something vast and unknown, the possibilities stretching before her. Where will this lead us? She wondered silently, her heart racing. For the light within her beckoned, and with each step forward, she knew they were on the brink of a greater revelation. A mystery just waiting to unfold. The days that followed were filled with reflection and action. Mary found herself in a cocoon of energy, each prayer gathering, sparking deeper realizations. They met every week under the warm embrace of the chapel, strangers becoming friends and friends becoming allies in faith. The stories shared pulsed with energy, as if each experience was a thread woven into the fabric of their collective journey. As Mary prepared for the first gathering, she felt a swirl of emotions within. Excitement danced with trepidation. Would they truly find hope in their stories? Would those who came seeking solace feel that divine touch they longed for? She took a deep breath, grounding herself in trust. She knew the light was not from their own doing, but from a source much greater. She set up the small room with candles flickering gently in the corners, creating a peaceful ambiance. The scent of frankincense wafted through the air, mingling with the soft sound of voices filling the space. Each soul entering seemed to carry a piece of the light with them, and it made her heart swell with awe. David was among the first to arrive, his presence a source of comfort. "I've been thinking about the ways we can reach out to those beyond these walls," he said, his enthusiasm sparkling like the candles. "What if we create a small outreach to assist people in need?" Mary smiled at the suggestion. Her heart bubbled with inspiration. "That's brilliant. We could serve meals, or perhaps even share our testimonies in the community. There's so much light to share." Other members began to trickle in, until the room was alive with voices and laughter, all mingling in an atmosphere of hope and belonging. As they formed a circle, Mary opened the gathering with prayer. The familiar words flowed from her lips, asking for guidance and a spirit of togetherness. She felt the Holy Spirit wrap around them, infusing the moment with a warmth that brought tears to her eyes. "Let's share what God has planted in our hearts," she encouraged, her voice quivering with emotion. One by one, they testified. Stories of hardship transformed into narratives of triumph, light illuminating the dark corners of despair. Each testimony stirred the spirit present in the room, weaving an unbreakable bond between them. And in that moment, an elderly man said, pausing to catch his breath, "I thought my journey was over, but God showed me it had only just begun." Laughter mingled with tears as they felt the profound weight of his words. Mary watched each face illuminated with the glow of shared experiences. They were teaching one another about hope, about not allowing their past to extinguish their future. She felt a deep connection to each soul, a divine thread binding them in love. Suddenly, the elderly woman from the chapel appeared at the door, her presence commanding attention. "Your light is beautiful, dear ones," she proclaimed, her voice rich with authority. "But remember, within each heartbeat lies the potential for greater miracles. Are you ready to step into the fullness of what God has for you?" A hush fell over the room, as anticipation hung thick in the air. Mary felt a spark of awakening within her. There was more, a deeper calling. "Will you guide us?" Mary asked, her voice barely a whisper, heart racing in unison with the gathering. With a serene smile, the elderly woman nodded. "The path is yours to pursue, and it will require courage. What awaits you might just change everything." What lay ahead was still a mystery, a journey yet to be unfolded. As Mary looked around the circle, she knew they were all on the brink of a divine revelation. As each heart beat in sync, the reality loomed. They were riding the waves of destiny, preparing to embrace something profoundly transformative. Where will this lead us now? She pondered, excitement mingling with uncertainty. But deep inside, she felt a radiant light beckoning, urging her to step forward into the unfolding journey of miracles. As the gathering came to a close, a profound stillness filled the chapel, as if the walls themselves held their breath, anticipating the extraordinary journey that lay ahead. Mary felt the energy vibrating in the room like strings of a lute, ready to play a symphony of divine experiences. Turning her attention back to the elderly woman, her heart raced with expectation. "Tell us more about this path," Mary urged, her voice steady yet tinged with eagerness. The elderly woman stepped forward, her eyes sparkling like distant stars. "It's a path woven with faith and action. Are you prepared to step out in courage and follow the call?" She motioned toward each person in the circle, her gaze tenderly connecting. "Every story shared, every act of kindness, will ripple outwards, touching lives in ways you cannot yet comprehend." Mary felt her spirit soar like an eagle. A shared mission was unfolding before them, calling for unity, compassion, and daring faith. It felt as if God was inviting them into a dance, each step leading them closer to a magnificent revelation. "Think of your own lives," the woman continued, her voice commanding. "Who among you has faced storms, felt lost, or yearned for healing?" The room responded, a chorus of nods and murmurs, enveloping her like soft music. Mary caught David's eye, and a smile broke across his face, the light of shared understanding passing between them. They were in this together, emboldened by the fire igniting in their hearts. Together, the elderly woman declared, "Let us look for others like ourselves, who need hope, who feel unseen. Let our hands be extensions of God's grace." Then, she turned to Mary. "But be warned, this journey will test your faith. There will be trials, and at times, you may feel as though you're walking through fire. Trust in the flame that fuels you. It is a divine light." Mary reflected on her own struggles, moments when doubt crept into her heart, but she also recalled the whispers of divine reassurance that echoed in her soul. "We will trust," she declared. "We will embrace both the light and the uncertainties." The circle of friends shared glances of solidarity, and one by one, they nodded in agreement, hearts beating as one. Each promise was a seed sown into the soil of faith, destined to blossom. They had begun a journey not only for themselves, but for their community. "And what if we fail?" A timid voice broke through the optimism. An anxious woman spoke up, her brows furrowed with concern. Mary reached out, her hand resting over the woman's. "Failure is not the end. It's merely a step toward growth. Every misstep can bring insight if we embrace it with humility. We stand together in this." "Exactly," the elderly woman interjected, her voice raised with warmth. "Miracles are born from the ashes of our failures. You'll discover your strength, and your faith will carry your witness into the world." With renewed courage, the group closed the meeting with a prayer, lifting their voices in unified spirit. It rang through the air, and Mary felt her heart swell with divine joy. They were on the brink of something vibrant and alive together. They would venture into the unknown. As their hands laid collectively in the center, an unspoken promise hung like fragrant incense. They would journey forth, moving beyond fears and doubts, into the radiant promise laid before them. Mary's thoughts raced, excitement tinged with the sacred essence of anticipation. What miracles are waiting for us? What lives will we change? With that exhilarating thought swirling in her mind, Mary glanced outside to the starry sky, the heavens seemingly nodding in agreement. She felt a surge of hope pulse through her. And just like that, a question whispered in the depths of her heart, were they truly ready to embrace all that God had in store? The answer was shrouded in divine mystery, beckoning her toward what would surely be a grand adventure. The morning light streamed through the chapel windows, wrapping everything in a warm embrace. Mary stood at the altar, her heart full as she gazed at the familiar faces of her friends gathered around. Their collective spirit pulsed with excitement and hope, a living testament to the bond formed through shared struggles. Today was not just another gathering. It was a celebration, a coming together to manifest their newfound purpose. Today, Mary proclaimed, her voice steady and filled with passion, "We're here to embrace the light within us and share it with the world." A chorus of enthusiastic amens echoed back, wrapping around her like a sacred hug. As they settled into their circle, the elderly woman from before, glowing like they all knew she would, stepped forward. This journey begins with hope, but be prepared for the trials. Together, you will face hardships that will strengthen your faith. Her eyes scanned the crowd, drawing in the tender nerves and worn souls before her. David leaned closer to Mary, his excitement infectious. We've tasted healing, Mom. Our faith can light pathways for others. Mary squeezed his hand with gratitude, grateful for his unwavering belief in their shared mission. Yes, my son. Let us take that light to those who need it most. With each word she spoke, the room vibrated with divine energy, a wave of sacred anticipation lapping at their hearts. The group decided to focus their first outreach effort on the village's marginalized residents. They crafted meals with love, set up prayer stations in the community park, and organized storytelling sessions to share their testimonies with anyone willing to listen. Word spread like wildfire, bringing neighbors and friends to witness the warmth radiating from their gathering. At each step, skepticism remained, unwilling to fade entirely. But for Mary, each act of kindness faced with doubt was met by a steadfast knowledge of God's love. She recalled the doubters who had once whispered through the village, now nuanced shadows compared to the radiant light of unity they sparked. Every meal shared, every prayer prayed, is a beacon of hope. Mary spoke one evening, her voice breaking the soft murmur of the group surrounded by the fading dusk. Let us remember that we are serving more than just food. We are serving love infinite and unconditional. Those gathered nodded, each heart swelling with purpose. As the weeks passed, the outreach blossomed into something vibrant. They witnessed transformations. Faces that had once held sadness now brightened. Laughter echoed through the park, and conversations flowed like rivers unleashed after a long drought. Mary felt the energy of miracle after miracle, each precious moment built upon a foundation of faith and love. Then, on a crisp autumn day, a heartfelt encounter unfolded. They had prepared meals yet again, anticipating the turnout with a mix of excitement and nervousness. As they opened the community doors, a line of people formed, their faces weary yet curious. A young mother stepped forward, clutching her child close, eyes filled with hope and desperation. I heard there would be healing here, she admitted. Is it true? Mary stepped forward, her heartbeat quickening. Yes, dear sister. God's light shines just as brightly in you. As she spoke, she found herself pouring out warmth, each word a loving embrace. Allow us to share in your journey. Here, you are not alone. Please, the mother implored, her voice trembling. I've lost my way. My spirit is broken. Tears filled Mary's eyes, recognizing far too well the pain of despair. She reached out, clasping the mother's hand in her own. Here, let's lift each other. Our struggles become strength when we share with community. Just as the young mother began to cry, the chapel doors swung open again, an elderly man shuffling in, sporting the smile of an old friend. The energy in the room shifted. They were at the convergence of opportunity, each heart holding a story, needing to be told. As that day stretched towards dusk, miracles danced in the air. The circle tightened, stories intertwined like vines spiraling upward, toward heaven. With each testimony, hope surged, wounded spirits began to heal, laughter replaced sorrow, and chains of doubt fell away. Mary marveled at the binding of souls gathered. They were a community reborn. They weren't just sharing meals, they were feasting on faith. Each prayer turned into a sacred promise, a promise of healing, redemption, and love shared. In that moment of communion, Mary understood the ultimate truth. The journey had never been just a quest for individual healing. It had blossomed into a mission, a divine calling to illuminate the way for others, as God forged pathways of hope through their lives. Together, we are stronger, she echoed softly, her heart swelling with indescribable joy. God has chosen us to be vessels of His love. Let's shine even brighter as we walk this path together. With renewed fervor, they rejoiced, their spirits dancing, brimming with anticipation. Mary held David close, heartwarming for the purpose unveiled before them. As they faced the trials together, she knew one undeniable truth: when they embraced their light, nothing could extinguish its radiance. The journey had unfolded, and they were ready to walk its sacred path toward all the wonders that awaited them. And so, as the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue upon their gathered hands raised in unity, Mary felt her spirit soar. The journey was just beginning, but it was a beautiful divine promise, calling to shine, spread light, and share God's love with the world. Now, this is an urgent call to action, my faithful friends. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire your heart and soul. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm and spread this message of hope further. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this transformative ending. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this manifestation of faith. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting each other through these actions. Together, let's illuminate the world.